Hi, this is Elisa with XYZ Wellness. Today we're going to take a little exploration, still on our mat, but we're going to learn about something maybe new to you, or maybe it's something that you already know about and maybe do in your practice regularly, and that is foam rolling. So foam rolling is an awesome recovery tool from all different kinds of activities. It's great if you're an athlete, if you run or bike, if you are a hiker, or even if you do a lot of repetitive motions or sit or stand a lot for your job. So any of those types of things can cause tightness and adhesions in the body, and it's tightness in the muscles, tightness in the connective tissue and the fascia. So we want to try and help break some of that up in a way a little different than what yoga will do for us. So first we need some tools, and that can be something as simple as a tennis ball, which is a great way to roll out our bodies, and we'll look at that a little bit later. And then we also have options for foam rollers. So we can have a nice smooth foam roller like this one, and you could choose one that's long like this. It's 36 inches. We also have 18 inches like this one. And this one has some raised surfaces to get into the muscles a little differently than the smooth one might. So you might experiment with your different options, knowing that this one with the raised surfaces is going to get in a little deeper, and it might be a little more sensitive. So if you're new to rolling, you definitely might want to stick to something a little less intense with the less raised surfaces, with just the smooth surface. And what we'll do is we'll start first with our shoulders. So this is a really lovely thing that you can do. And what we'll do, I'll go through some different options with the foam rolling, and we're only going to explore each of them for a short little bit of time. So if we come upon an area that feels really good to you, you might pause the video, continue to roll through that part of the body, and then come back to the video when you're ready. And another thing to keep in mind is that whenever we roll, we don't need a lot of time. So we can set aside a couple of minutes, maybe every couple of days, or maybe every day, to roll out the body and to release some of that tightness. So it's not necessary to have a half an hour or a long stretch of time. And maybe even just giving yourself a little snack of rolling from time to time can help to work out some of that tightness and make you feel really good. So first we'll come onto our bottoms and we'll lower down. And this can be a little tricky, but we'll bring the foam roller just under the shoulder blade. So this is one of the times that it might be very helpful to have one of the longer foam rollers. And we'll bend our feet, or bend our knees, and have our feet flat on the mat. And starting to lift the bottom away from the ground, we can either cross our hands over our chest, or maybe bring fingertips behind the ears. And then starting to walk here. Slowly moving the feet forward and back. And you might notice that I'm really not creating a big range of motion. I'm not covering a lot of ground, but I'm concentrating right into the backs of my shoulders. Now I foam roll pretty frequently, so this feels okay to me. This feels really good. But if you're new to foam rolling, it might feel better to maybe even lower the bottom back down onto the ground and just find that area where you're feeling the sensation of the shoulders pushing into the foam roller and the roller into your shoulders. So just experimenting with that, maybe turning to one side. So you can experiment with the different options and see what feels best in your shoulders. But as long as you're applying a decent amount of pressure, this might feel like a little bit of a massage, like you're getting your shoulders rubbed. And only going to any place that feels good. So if you find an area that starts to feel uncomfortable, you're rolling on the spine, then backing out of that. And we'll come up to sit. So that is one of the first places we can start. And we'll actually maybe explore our shoulders with a tennis ball a little bit later. Now we'll lower the foam roller down closer to the lumbar spine, the low back. So similar to what we just did, either crossing the arms, or maybe bringing fingertips behind the head just to support the head. And we can start to massage out the low back. We're really careful avoiding the mid back, but listening to your body. So if any of these options don't feel good for any reason, then opting out of that. These are just suggestions, things that you can do, ways that we can work the body. And actually, this is more recovery than work, so think about that. And again, I'm starting to drift up towards my shoulders. That feels really good to me. But finding your range. And then coming back to sit. We can start to think about our glutes now and our hamstrings. So being very careful, we'll come up to sit on the foam roller. And bringing hands now behind the body. You might just notice that as we're sitting here, we're aware of some tightness in the glutes. And the glutes can get very tight from sitting and from some of our activities. We might let both knees start to come to one side so we get a little more concentration on one side of the body. Or we could cross one ankle over, almost like we do figure 4 in yoga. Just observing, where is that sensation? What feels good? What's a little tight? Maybe pausing any place that feels a little good. So if you find maybe a little bit of a knot, you could pause there, breathing into it, always making sure that we're breathing. And then we'll switch sides. So maybe turning more to the other side, noticing how that side feels compared to the first side. This side's a little tighter for me, so as I'm rolling on the roller, I can definitely feel a little tightness in that glute. And maybe flexing the foot, seeing how that changes it. And again, we're only staying here for just a short little time so you can see what your options are. And then from here, we'll bring that foot back down, and we'll scoop the roller a little bit forward. So now we want to think about the hamstrings, the back of the upper legs. So we can have our weight now into our hands, maybe lifting both feet, or we could keep one knee bent and then just roll that opposite thigh. We could maybe flex the foot or point, toeing in or out. Well, actually that was out. Toeing out or in. And just seeing where we're aware of some tightness. Maybe pausing there. So even just pausing, letting the weight of the body rest on the foam roller can be very effective at stimulating the cells, creating a little bit of a release, but always remembering that the big key is breathing. So if we find ourselves holding our breath, that's kind of counteracting what we're trying to do. So you can see we've switched sides here. And again, it doesn't take much time in any one of these positions. So just working through the body, we can come down to the calves now. And maybe very similar to what we just did for the hamstrings. You might bring one foot down. That can be a little tricky. Or you could cross the ankles. Maybe rolling from side to side. Switching. And if you don't have, as much upper body strength, or you have wrist discomfort, this can be a little uncomfortable. So I'll show you an option with the ball for the calves after we come around and do our quads. So we'll do the front of our legs now. And what I'll do is I'm going to switch rollers just so you can see with a shorter roller how we would do this. We can take the roller to one side of our mat and now bringing that leg down and resting the other knee on the mat, looking down to forearms. And then just rolling forward onto the forearms and then back. Smooth motion. Still maybe changing the angle of the leg as we maybe toe in or turn the leg towards the other direction. Maybe even bending the knee. And we can stay directly on the front of the thigh, on the quads, or we could start to shift our body a little bit, bringing that opposite in front. And now we'll focus a little more on the IT band. And I can honestly stay here for quite a while, but we'll switch sides and try the other side. So always having equal attention both sides of the body. And then maybe I'll switch sides so I can face you, but we'll come over onto that IT band, bringing that opposite foot in front. Breathing and smiling, relaxing the shoulders. And then coming very carefully off of the roller. We'll set it off to the side. So I mentioned that there were some options we can do with a ball. And this is really a great tool to have with you in your desk at work, or you could take it with you traveling so that we wouldn't need to take a big foam roller necessarily with you. So we'll come back to the shoulders. We were doing our shoulders first. So we can place that ball on the wall behind us and maybe experimenting with the height of that ball. And I've got the ball directly next to my shoulder blade. And I'm just going to bend my knees, rolling the ball around, finding different places in the shoulder. You might pause once again if you find a little bit of a knot and feeling that ball just pressing into the shoulder, stimulating the cells, maybe causing a little bit of a release, breathing into it, maybe finding some crunchy stuff there. And then switching sides. Rolling around, and it can be kind of interesting trying to find that right spot, but when you do, again, you might move your feet around or your knees, and then you're staying there as long as feels good, trying to not overdo it. Overdoing it can be just as bad, so being really careful, maybe erring on the side of caution the first time you roll. And then we'll bring the ball down to the ground, rolling out the bottoms of the feet. And it can be really a nice feeling to roll out the bottoms of the feet. It's like giving yourself a foot massage. Still starting very conservatively, maybe pausing and just putting the weight of the foot down into the ball. Being really mindful of some of the bones in the feet. So if you notice a little bit of discomfort, backing off a bit. Sometimes we'll roll using a lacrosse ball, but I do caution you against that for your feet, especially if you're new to rolling, because that can be a little intense, a little too much for the bones in the feet. So just maybe rolling side to side, or we can roll heel to toe, covering all the different angles of the foot, finding what feels best today. And of course, switching sides. So this is a great way to give yourself that foot massage, and it's a really good thing to do, like if you're having a stressful day and you've got a tennis ball in your desk at work. You might pop your shoes off and just roll the ball around. And this is a great thing to do. You can do it standing or seated. You don't need to be standing. And if you want a little bit of support, you could hold on to something, whether it's a counter or your chair, just holding on to something. And that way you've got that little bit of extra support. Now we'll come back down to the ground. So we were going through our calves with the foam roller, which again can take some upper body strength. So if that doesn't feel good, or if it's uncomfortable on your wrists, you just bring the ball under one calf and start to maybe roll the leg from side to side. Again, maybe pausing here, or we could point and flex. That can change the position of the ball into the calf. Or you could still take the option of coming on to the fingertips or the hands and rolling. That takes a little bit of the pressure off because you're not at the same angle as you were with the foam roller. So maybe a little bit more comfortable for the calf. And then you can definitely keep that other foot planted on the floor to take a little bit of the weight off the wrist as well. And we'll switch sides. So just moving through that, maybe circling the foot. You can just be a little creative, seeing what feels good, experimenting with your options, and noticing where you feel tight. And it might be different on both sides of the body. One leg might be way tighter than the other, or one shoulder. And then we'll come back to seated. So I hope hope you enjoyed these suggestions for rolling out your body, giving yourself a little bit of a massage, a little bit of a treat in your day. And this is great, again, you can do this after activity, so after you've run or walked, you could do this prior to your yoga practice to warm up the muscles a little bit, create some heat as you roll through, especially the bigger muscle groups like the thighs. And if you do like these videos, please be sure to like and subscribe, and also to make sure you press the little button below, the little bell, so that you'll get notifications when I do post new videos. And I really hope that you enjoy foam rolling and that it helps you to release some of the tension and tightness in your body. And please join me again for other yoga videos and other workouts and tips and ideas. And please be sure to comment below. Thank you so much for taking the time to explore foam rolling with me this morning, and have a wonderful day. Namaste.